I've been on Twitter for a few years now, and over time it's become clear that the platform doesn't bring out the best in people. Bizarre debates to just generally questionable content. I mean, there's really no shortage of things to shake your head at. But, what bothers me the most isn't the extremes, it's the loss of ability for people to talk to each other like actual humans. I mean, it feels like you can't even ask questions or share an even mild opinion without someone assuming the worst about you. I miss when you could have a political conversation, disagree, hell, maybe even argue a little, and still walk away without being blocked, reported, or labeled as something you're not. And no, I'm not out here pushing political slogans or trying to stir the pot. I approach things with curiosity and logic. For example, I asked a simple, non-hostile question about how a character dynamic in a game was being described, and their response? An immediate block, and they even hid my comment. I wasn't intending to insult them. It wasn't a joke at someone's expense. It was a simple question based on my understanding of things, and when that happens repeatedly, it starts to weigh on you. To be clear, I don't want to upset anyone, and I fully respect that people see things differently, but when disagreement automatically equals hostility, that's a problem. Blocking someone who's genuinely being hateful, completely fair. But when it comes to people who just think differently or ask honest questions, maybe we should, be a little less quick to assume bad intent. Now, I know this isn't the usual kind of post I make, and I don't really want to come off bitter, but I think we'd all benefit from bringing back a little bit of nuance and patience when we talk to each other. You don't have to agree with me, and that's perfectly okay. I just hope we can keep having conversations without turning everything into a war zone. Maybe that's idealistic. I don't know. I don't think it's too much for me to hope for personally as a human being. And look, I get it. The internet is not always the place for, subtleness. Text strips away tone, facial expressions, and intent. But a sentence meant as a question can look like an attack. A disagreement can be misread as disrespect. But that's why I think it's more important than ever to give people the benefit of the doubt before jumping to all these conclusions. It feels like we've entered a time where assuming the worst is the default. You can say one thing that doesn't perfectly align with someone else's worldview, and suddenly you're labeled as something you're not. There's no room for curiosity, no room for gray areas, just a rush to categorize people as safe or dangerous or ally or enemy. It's ridiculous. And the mindset doesn't help anyone. It doesn't change minds. It doesn't promote growth. It just builds walls. And I'm not saying people should, tolerate hate or actual abuse that somebody does, but I do think there's a big difference between standing your ground and completely shutting others out without trying to understand where they're coming from. I've always believed that ideas should be tested, challenged, and, maybe debated. The only way to do it. That's, how we grow. That's how we build a society where people can coexist. Not by muting each other into silence, but by, listening and pushing back with reason and respect. It is so exhausting walking on these eggshells, trying to make sure that a question or opinion won't get me blocked, misunderstood, or dogpiled. And honestly, it's made me more hesitant to say anything at all. That's not a healthy environment, and it's definitely not one where people can feel safe being honest, even when they're trying to be respectful. And, I guess all I'm saying is, let's bring back conversations. Let's bring back the ability to talk through disagreements without assuming the worst in all of us, We're all human. We're all fighting for things that, out in real time. So maybe, just maybe, we can learn to extend each other just a little bit more patience, a little bit more trust, and a little bit more space to speak. I don't know. That's just me, though.